Tigers. I said I'm weirdly at peace with this team. They're not good, and I think we can end the charade. This idea that they're in some sort of quasi-contention. They're now 6 games out in the wild card. They are, and have been, double digits out in their own division. They are at their lowest point of the season right now, 4 games under 500. They continue to waste good pitching, Reese Olson last night. They continue to struggle to produce consistent offense. 25% of the games, they've been held to 1 or fewer runs. They've punted a quarter of their games. We have reached a point, and I have reached a point anyway, where I am at peace. They are going to get what they wanted. They did not want to pursue the division. They did not want to pursue the playoffs. They wanted this to be about development. So in a roundabout way, they're on their own track. They've achieved what they wanted to achieve, which is a year purely about development. So I don't like it. I don't necessarily even accept it, and I'll continue to be mad on behalf of Tigers fans that this is going to be another wasted season. But we've come full circle. This is who they are. We don't have to play any games. There's something freeing about knowing they'll be sellers at the deadline. They'll call more young guys up. This year has a defined vision. This is what it is. A losing team, developing team. Stop the charade. Stop trying to win. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it is... It's all, they told us what they were going to do at the beginning of the season, and that was not block young players and go out there and develop as many of the future Tigers, the future core that they possibly can. And then in the offseason, they can build around it. They can add guys that are going to be coming up through the minor leagues. And there are a number of those guys that will have opportunities. Some of them will have opportunities by the end of the year. The ones that I do believe that we will see, what we've already seen, Parker Meadows. We will see him again.
Yep.
And they want to know, is he just simply a AAA guy, or is there a future in the big leagues? Spencer Torkelson. Same thing. We will see him again, and they want to find out, is he just a minor league guy, or will what we saw last year at the second half of the season, the 30 home runs, is that something that is real that we can count on? And they'll have their answers. The other guys, and who knows if we see them, Jace Young,
right?
Okay, maybe not. We're already looking at Kreidler. Maybe. You'll get a chance to look at Jackson Jobe. I think that's a much longer shot. I don't know that happens, and some of that is just simply they want to baby him along because of the injury this year. Maybe he's not going to get enough innings, enough quality innings to be able to say, yes, we want to see him at the major league level. But it does provide opportunity for younger players to have an opportunity to say, yes, I am going to be a part of the future.
I'm not really sold that Kreidler is going
to... No, I don't think so either.
Right, and I don't know that all of the guys are going to get called up, but some will. I do think some will, and it just, I feel like at least there's a clear direction, right? When you're teeter-tottering, win 2, lose 3, win 2, lose 1, you're just kind of teeter-tottering, there is no direction. The saving grace, the slimmest of silver linings when they are losing the way they're losing is they're clearly defining who they are as a baseball team. There will be a clear direction come trade deadline. Scott Harris is going to get exactly what he wanted, which is developmental time. They didn't block any of these young guys. There's going to be more than enough at-bats to go around post-deadline once they sell. This is what they wanted. As depressing as that is, this is what they wanted, and we've reached a point where I've weirdly just... I'm at peace with it. This is who they are, and we don't have to play the games anymore. Like the mental games. I mean, they're going to still play a bunch of baseball games. But we don't have to dance this dance from, hey, they got off to a hot start in April, and what happens if the bats figure it out? They're not going to. I don't believe they're going to, and I think a lot of people have come around on that realization.
Yeah, and I mean, the definition of slipping away is that you just keep adding games in the negative category. And it's not just wins and losses. It's how far are you out of that final playoff spot in the wild card. Yesterday they were 5.5. Now they're 6. And it's not going to be one that all of a sudden, hey, in a week they're back 10 games. It's going to be a slow drip, but I expect them to go further away than I expect them to make up ground.
Yeah, there's not a lot of oomph, like I would say, fight that's basically from the front office. It's not like there's a trade coming to save the season or some big veteran move that they made before the year to really give them the oomph. So the fight, I mean, the players are still trying to win, but they're working with a deck that's not, doesn't have all the cards. So, I don't know. Maybe people want to see more fight. We had someone reference AJ Hinch yesterday, not blowing up when Colt Keith got squeezed on a bad call. I mean, if you want to see more fight from the manager, we can entertain that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, so the play we're talking about, Colt Keith, 6th inning, 2 on, 2 out. There's a pitch thrown inside, called a ball. Later in the at-bat, pitch in the same area, called for the final strike 3. Could AJ have come out and raised a stink, got ejected? He would have been arguing balls and strikes. Would it have sent some kind of message to back up Colt Keith, defend a young player? Yes. But I do view like this season is there's the fight's not there, right?
No, it's not. And I mean, this is where, and I asked the question earlier before we talked to AJ in one of those interviews that we had with him, how exhausted is he? And we're not even halfway through the season because he doesn't have a bona fide leadoff hitter. He doesn't have somebody that he puts in the number 3 spot or the 4 spot. And yeah, matchups, you may tweak the lineup every once in a while, but he doesn't have that ability to have any consistency game in and game out with his lineup. It's always, well, I've got to, I'm going to put in Kreidler because we're facing a righty, or I'm going to put in, insert any player because of the pitcher, but I'm going to put him at 6, and so I can protect him with Riley Green at 4, or Riley Green's is on a hot streak, so I'm going to put him higher in the order. Like the exhaustion of just having to manufacture a lineup every game, and then throughout the game, who am I going to pitch hit? Who am I going to pitch run? All of those things, and then you get a moment, a singular moment like Colt Keith had at the plate where he gets called out on a 3rd strike. That's clearly not a strike.
It was a terrible call. Awful call. AJ would have been well within his right to blow his top and lose his mind. But I think, and Tom, you've made this point off air. A moment missed, but you only get you can't do this repeatedly. Right. Tom, you made this point off air. You only get like 2 or 3 of these maximum in a year where you get to really lose it. AJ hasn't had any, so I suppose this could have been one. What was your read of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity for him to go out there and maybe get ejected in a spot. Maybe he didn't because it's still a super close game. You're actually ahead.
Right, winning at the time.
And what good does it do to have your manager not on the bench the last 3 innings when you're probably making important decisions like bullpen decisions? He's got a handle on this. John's used the word exhausting, but I do think at some point as a manager and a coach in sports, you've got to step outside your element. And look, hotheads don't really work in sports much anymore. Guys that go off constantly or rant and rant and rant. It's not going to work, but you selectively do it. And I think that was a time last night to maybe go out there and just defend your team. Show that you got their back. Maybe that fires them up to have more quality at bats. We're searching here. I think, John, you used the word exhausted. I'm exhausted. It was funny last night. We had my son's baseball game. We're out there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think to turn the game on when I got in the car. He had a big hit, and we were talking about some things that didn't go so well in the game and stuff like that, how we can get better. And I just never thought of it. I get home. I want to turn on the NBA Finals, see if it was competitive. It wasn't. And then I see Jim's prep come in, and I found out that the Tigers were losing because of Jim. I'm tuned out. Like, I officially tuned out after last weekend. You are seeing the long-term now with no Carpenter. The runs are coming they're at a premium even more now, and there's no answers. AJ has no answers. You have guys missing first base that really rubbed me the wrong way Friday night, and it's going to stick with me. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so from Friday, Sunday, and then last night they've scored 3 total runs, and then they had a nice little blow up on Saturday. I just think that's the way they're going to be the rest of the year. There's no fix.
I think if the question is being asked, should AJ have raised a bigger issue yesterday? They squandered bases loaded in the 5th. They only scored the 1 in the 6th. Colt Keith, one of the guys who is paid long-term to be part of this, got jobbed. He was a victim of a bad call. Yeah. That's typically when a manager does blow his top. And it's not who AJ is. I don't want him to ever be inauthentic. I think you lose a locker room quicker doing things like that. You got to be yourself. But I would also hope that part of AJ is getting frustrated and that would seep out naturally in a way that is authentic, that does show, hey, the heart's beating a little bit. that there is a frustration. Otherwise, it supports my point. Hey, they are what they are. Lie down. Season's over. Losing record. Sell. Develop. Wah, wah, wah. But we've often said the players don't view it that way. The manager doesn't view it that way. But you need to see more fight. That's the bow I would tie on it. 248-539-9797. Couple quick ticket texts. This one says, guys, I think the